are these people?
So we touched on it a bit earlier with United for EP, but there's been a spree of derailments and factory accidents, and really just corporate infrastructure is also failing, as
Mm-hmm.
well as public infrastructure. Um, and the conjuncture between the two is killing us. So, but I brought a article from Common Dreams by Kenny Stansel, right? Derailment spree proves railway regulations urgently needed, say union members. Who would have thunk? These companies siphon billions into share buybacks, dividends, and bonuses rather than into the vital maintenance and infrastructure growth we need to build a safe, modern, and thriving rail industry, said one worker. Um, they tried to go on strike, didn't they? What happened with that?
Uh,
Oh,
their staffs in office. Well, staffs in
hmm.
Congress, rather. But
So this was on April 3rd. After at least 6 major freight train derailments occurred across the United States over the past week, the need for stronger rail safety rules couldn't be clearer, an inter-union alliance of rail workers said Monday. The recent
pause.
uptick in...
1 second. Have you heard any of these derailments? I
Well,
think I may have heard
yeah,
maybe one, but
one or
like
two?
I didn't know there was six.
Yeah. Yeah. As well as the barges that got pushed up against the like dam works above Louisville on the Ohio River that was carrying like 1,400 tons of methanol. That was kind of an issue. But yeah, like a lot of corporate infrastructure and corporate structuring causing accidents. So the recent uptick in derailments across the U.S. highlights the dire need for stricter regulations on the length and weight of trains. There is a ProPublica article out that I actually suggest people go look at. It's long, so I didn't bring it with us, but it's got like animations and stuff and explanations for exactly what he's talking about here. Um, but weight of trains, as well as focus on preventing unsafe operational practices such as precision scheduled railroading, which prioritizes short term financial gains for Wall Street over the safety of communities and railroad workers. Jason Doring, a locomotive engineer and general secretary of Railroad Workers United. So they said in a statement, and I think that statement was like over at Truth Out or one of those, as well. But this past week was not a good one for the nation's Class 1 rail carriers. RWU observed on Sunday, March 26th, the Canadian Pacific train carrying hazardous materials careened off the tracks outside Windmere, North Dakota, spilling liquid asphalt and ethylene glycol and releasing propylene vapor. Last Monday, a Union Pacific iron ore train reached 118 miles per hour, which is nothing for a train that size and weight, um, as it ran away down Kima Hill in the Mojave Desert before wrecking on a curve, destroying 2 locomotives and 55 cars in San Bernardino County, California. On Wednesday, Canadian National Iron Ore Train derailed in Butler County, Pennsylvania. Um, on Thursday, a BNSF train carrying ethanol and corn syrup crashed near Raymond, Minnesota, causing a fire that forced local residents to flee. On Friday,
Yeah,
a Norfolk Southern train went that does sound went off the tracks in Irondale, Alabama. One day ago, a train operated by the Class 2 Regional Montana Rail Link, soon to be owned by BNSF, derailed on the banks of the Clark Fork River in Paradise, Montana. The recent uptick in derailments across the U.S. highlights the dire need for stricter regulations on the length and weight of trains, as well as a focus on preventing unsafe operational practices such as precision scheduled railroading. Anything to add so far, Colin?
no. I
Okay.
mean, again, it's just the idea of like, have you heard this in mainstream media? No.
Fuck no.
And even with independent media, I haven't heard much of this either. So,
We ain't found shit, as that
right.
scene in Spaceballs would have you to believe. So each year, these companies, so rail workers are not surprised to see the dramatic increase in rail incidents following the widespread cuts to the industry, said locomotive engineer and RW steering committee member Paul Lindsay. Each year, these companies siphon billions into share buybacks, dividends, and bonuses rather than into the vital maintenance and infrastructure growth we need to grow a safe and modern and thriving rail industry, Lindsay added. Norfolk Southern has become the poster child for freight industry greed as the toxic aftermath of February's fiery train derailment, ensuing chemical spill, and burnout continues to unfold in East Palestine. East Palestine, Ohio? Questioned last month at a U.S. Senate hearing about the ongoing public health and environmental disaster, Norfolk Southern President and CEO Alan Shaw refused to commit to giving workers 7 days of paid sick leave or halting stock buybacks. We've also covered how that's also just bullshit at the base level. Their original ask was what?
20.
Bernie then said 10. This guy says 7. You are getting haggled hard. Like, they've got you down to 50%.
Well,
less
again,
than.
Say, people from the West need to go to like the Middle East or anywhere in the global South for that matter and learn how to haggle.
Yeah.
Actually, I think our politicians should go and do that.
So, More Perfect Union has calculated that payouts to Norfolk Southern shareholders soared more than 45,000% over the past 20 years, from 101 million in stock repurchases and dividend bumps to, in 2002, 4.7 billion.
Nope.
You didn't hear it, but they did.
Oh, I want to hear it.
You want to hear it? Okay,
Yes.
I'll fix it.
Can be just the people in the chat have all the fun, especially since you were tuning up for it.
I know, right? See, we do
Plus,
stuff
I'm sure
here.
people wouldn't mind hearing it twice. So
right. So yeah, dude, 4.7 billion. Like, Jesus Christ. Anyway, Shaw also refused to commit to ending PSR, the profit maximizing scheduling system that forces fewer workers to manage longer trains in less time. Even though unions and progressive lawmakers, who are those? Argue the Wall Street endorsed, that's almost an oxymoron. You know, Wall Street endorsed model makes the U.S. rail system more dangerous and contributes to the 1,500 plus derailments seen nationwide each year. So their infrastructure is done. It's gone. Right. Is what it sounds like. And they don't want to put any money into it.
Well, it's infrastructure just on a whole. I think especially like with transportation as a whole in this country. Like, look at New York City. Like,
yeah.
Shit.
Look at Japan. Look at like Europe.
Right. I would argue Europe is kind of meh, but like even so, like their infrastructure is way better than ours.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's the idea of, we're a car-centric country. Like, we value cars versus, I would argue, any other transportation.
So although Norfolk Southern epitomizes how railroad executives prioritize profit above all else, the corporation is far from alone in pushing for deregulation and implementing anti-worker, pro-investor policies. An Open Secrets analysis published last month found that the rail industry spent more than $713 million lobbying against enhanced rail safety rules at the federal and state levels between 2002 and 2022. Top spenders, including the Association of American Railroads Trade Group, CSX, Union Pacific, Norfolk Southern, and BNSF parent company Berkshire Hathaway, which is owned by billionaire Warren Buffett. While RWU has made the case for nationalizing the railroads, it has also outlined a plan for reforms that that could be quickly implemented in the absence of such a sweeping transformation. Specific provisions the Alliance has called for, including sufficient staffing, limits on train length and weight, adequate maintenance and inspections, and better training and employee benefits. I mean, whole hog, baby. Go for that nationalizing. Don't even worry about that other stuff. Just do the first thing. Then do the other stuff. It'll be way easier after that. So anyway, last week, Senator John Fetterman, Bob Casey, and Sherrod Brown introduced the Railway Accountability Act, which includes some of the measures sought by RWU and is supported by unions, including the Transport Workers of America, the National Conference of Firemen and Oilers, and the International Association of Sheet Metal, Air, Rail, and Transportation Workers, Mechanical Division. So, in case people were wondering, I have a feeling that's going to be real slim pickings.
Well, especially now since the House is Republican majority now, so that's not going to go anywhere. I mean, at least they're on record. You could argue for trying this, but again, this should have been done back in December.
Yeah.
Honestly. Well, honestly, then, and we love the RWU here, but they should have gone on strike anyway, or at least made the attempt to, just so they're able to get a little more provisions, or at least a little more attention, because they're more or less an afterthought now. So.
Yep.